Hello and welcome to my E3 2019 video. This time we're going to do things a little bit different. Rather than sit here and have me run through every single announcement between the few companies that did go to E3 this year, I thought it'd be more fun to make a top 10 list of my favorite game announcements or games that I saw at the show being shown, rather than focus so much on each press conference as a whole. This makes much more sense. I have some honorable mentions, I have two dishonorable mentions, and then I also will kind of quickly go through at the beginning here the press conferences and just give them a letter grade and say, hey, it was good or it was bad. So I'm not even going to talk about EA. We're going to start with Microsoft. Microsoft I would give a B to. I think they did what they do every year. They came out of the gate. They had some stuff. They knew that they were the only really big platform there besides Nintendo. You know, having the other big competition, Sony, not being there made it, I think, a little bit easier for them this year. They had some great announcements. Obviously, they had the moment of the show, which was Keanu Reeves coming out. That was awesome. Overall, I thought they kind of played it safe, and they set the narrative for E3 2019, which I saw everywhere, and that is 2020 is going to be insane, and 2019 is kind of like a lull. We do have some big games coming out this year, but most everything's coming out in 2020. I mean, early 2020 is stacked with releases. So we have Microsoft B. I think they had a lot of cool things. They talked a little bit about Project Scarlet. They're referring to it as just Project Scarlet and not two SKUs of systems. I think we'll hear more about that next year, obviously. They announced a new Elite controller. They kind of, behind closed doors, said that older generation hardware is going to work on the new, so controllers and accessories are going to be forward compatible, but I think they'll also release new controllers as well, and I think those new controllers are going to have rechargeable batteries, because this new Elite controller does have that. And we'll get into more announcements and stuff there. I thought they had a pretty good show. I'd give them a B. Bethesda, I'm going to also give a B. I'm going to give them a B+. I think they had a pretty good show as well. They had Todd Howard come out, kind of did the apology session for Fallout 76, announced a slew of updates, including putting human NPCs into that game, which is what everybody wanted from the beginning. That's cool. They didn't talk about Starfield. They didn't talk about Elder Scrolls 6 there. He said they weren't going to talk about those. The other big announcements I would say here is they had Shinji Mikami come out and talk about his new game. It's not Evil Within 3. It's something new called Ghostwire Tokyo. I believe that was the name of it. That looked really cool, but it was a cinematic trailer. Didn't show much. I look forward to hearing more about that game in the future, but that seems like a next-gen title at this point. They also talked about Wolfenstein Youngblood. It comes out July 26th. I don't really need to say much about that. I look forward to playing it. And then they spent a very vast portion of this show talking about Doom Eternal. Also announcing a pretty cool collector's edition that I'm most likely going to get. And that game looks fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. And we'll move on from there. And we'll be talking more about Doom Eternal in a little bit here. We can then move on to Ubisoft. Honestly, I didn't watch Ubisoft's press conference, so I can't really speak to it that much. What I did see for announcements, the biggest thing, Watch Dogs Legion. We'll talk about that a little bit too. I think that game looks really cool. They talked about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but their press conference is kind of more scaled back this year. Then we'll transition over to Square Enix, which... so if I gave Bethesda a B, and I'll say I'll give Ubisoft a C, Square Enix is going to get a C-, and the reason for it mostly involves the Avengers game. The thing was, they had two big games stacked between a lot of really cool small stuff. All the small stuff, actually, I'm going to re-rate that. You know what? We're going to give them a C+. I think because of all the small stuff, they had a good show. But Final Fantasy VII, which you're going to have a separate video on my thoughts on that, and then which will be up later next week. And then at the end, they unveiled this Avengers game we've heard about for a while now, and oh boy, it's quite a thing. Basically, from my understanding, from the gist of it, is it's going to be almost a Destiny-like game where you play as different Avengers, and it's an online cooperative thing. The designs, to just point it out, they look bad. They're not going for the movie Avengers that we all know. They've kind of said, "Oh, this is our artistic vision." And the problem with saying that is it's clear they couldn't get the license for the movie, and they're doing their own thing. They just look bad. and I think a lot of people had a huge disconnect. Also, the game's a games as a service game. Yeah, it's going to come out as a $60 game, but why release that at the end of a console generation? Avengers, it didn't light the world on fire for me. I know a lot of people are actually pretty disappointed in that reveal. Their press conference, we're going to give it a C+. Then we have Nintendo. Nintendo really did well again. I'm giving them an A-. They had a lot of really cool announcements and stuff. They showed more Luigi's Mansion 3. They showed a lot of really cool stuff. And the big announcement at the end, of course, was Breath of the Wild 2, which is going to lead me into my top 10 list. So these are my top 10 game announcements or games from E3 2019. And number 10 on this list is Breath of the Wild 2. I love the trailer. I like that they're going for more of a spooky aspect with this story, but they're also going to keep it in the same exact world, which we haven't seen happen since Majora's Mask. This looks cool. They didn't really show much. It was more of a cinematic trailer, and they don't even have a title yet. They're just saying the sequel to Breath of the Wild is now in development. I don't have much more to say. I wanted to put it on this list because I think it's a massive announcement, and it also makes me want to go back and finish Breath of the Wild because I never finished that game. That's number 10 on my list. Number 9 on my list is probably one of the most surprising games of E3 2019, and that is Watch Dogs Legion. Just to give you kind of a little history of me and the Watch Dogs franchise, as someone who primarily lives in the Chicago area, Watch Dogs 1 didn't do it for me. It's a very poor representation of what the actual city of Chicago is. It just wasn't a good game. It was very much like the Assassin's Creed 1. And then we got Watch Dogs 2, which is very much like Assassin's Creed 2. I really liked Watch Dogs 2. I did a thing about it on the channel a long time ago. And I was interested to see what they were going to do. They're setting this game in London, but the big gist of this game is that you can be anyone in the game. There's no main character. You hop between any NPC in the world. It seems almost like a reverse Nemesis system from the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth games. It's a really cool thing. It's fascinating. I can't say enough good things about the potential that is there for this game. I urge you to go watch a trailer because even just me talking about it, I can't do it justice. It's really quite something. That's number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list was a surprise announcement, and I know you're all going to be like, oh, when I say it, and just wait for it. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. I'll give you a moment. Okay, you've had your moment. Yeah, it's not Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VIII, the one game from this series that I have waited this whole incredible time for. You know, we got all these great remasters of 7, of 9, 10, and 12. All that stuff is pretty much everywhere. You can get it on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, PC, you name it, it's on that platform. 8 was never remastered. And the only place you could really play it was there was a Steam release, which I have. But I've wanted this game so bad. It is my favorite Final Fantasy besides 7. I loved this game as a kid. I haven't really played through it since I was a kid. And I wanted a good way to play it, which obviously the Nintendo Switch is going to be a great way to play this game. It's happening. It's coming out this year. That was my biggest and most favorite announcement from Square Enix's press conference. And I can't wait. Conveniently, that is my number 8 pick on this list. Number 7 was a surprise announcement from Microsoft's press conference of all people, and that was they kind of went through a sizzle reel of games that are going to launch day and date on Game Pass, and one of them is a Blair Witch game, of all things. I'm not excited about this game because it's tied to the Blair Witch. You know, I've seen the original Blair Witch a long time ago. I never watched the more recent one that came out. I think I will now that this got announced. This doesn't seem really connected to the Blair Witch movies. It seems like its own thing. You know, when they first started showing the trailer and they showed the guy in the green jacket, I immediately thought they were remaking Silent Hill 2, and I got really excited. Until they start exploring the woods, I'm like, that doesn't seem like Silent Hill 2. This is its own thing. It comes out really soon, I believe August 30th, and it's a Game Pass game. And that was kind of the big gist of Microsoft's conference as a whole, was Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. But I really look forward to this game. I love horror games, as you know. It's my favorite genre across all mediums, and this game looks fantastic. It looks really spooky, really scary, and I can't wait to play this game. It's a game I didn't know existed until E3, and I always love those little surprises. That's what makes E3 fun. That's my number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list here is going to be Luigi's Mansion 3. I love Luigi's Mansion. You know, I recently live streamed a lot of it on the channel, last Horror Fest, and that was the first real time I dived deep into the game. I had played bits and pieces over the years and always meant to go back and play it. I have played through Dark Moon and really liked and enjoyed that game. Always thought they should give Luigi's Mansion another chance. I'm glad they're doing it on the Switch. They didn't announce a date here, but I'm assuming it'll be Halloween time this year. They did say 2019. It also has a new cooperative mode and a online multiplayer mode, and those all look really cool. I think graphically it looks pretty impressive too, given the Switch hardware. So this game looks awesome. I can't wait to play it. It's another spooky game. I'm all about the spooky games, and I also love Luigi. So that's my number 6. Number 5 is going to be Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake. This was a surprise announcement earlier this year. I think it continues to look good. What pushed it up so high on this list is the dungeon creator thing that they're putting into this game, which they revealed was the whole reason why they picked to remake this game. I love the art style of it. I love the fact that it doesn't seem like... It seems like it'll be a big, huge game, but it's not a scale of a Breath of the Wild. And for people that never played Link's Awakening, it's still one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. So I look forward to this game. It comes out sooner than I expected. It comes out September 20th of this year. That's my number 5 on this list. Number 4 on this list, I'm surprised to say it, I might eat some words later this year when it comes out. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. EA, is publishing this game, but this is very much Respawn Entertainment's child, and they're doing everything they can to nail a Star Wars game since EA's gotten that license. EA's already botched it really bad between Battlefront 1 and 2, and I think they're going to knock it out of the park here. Respawn, popular for the Titanfall franchise and Apex Legends, they've time and time again proven themselves a great developer. I think this project is in great hands. Everything they showed of this game at E3 looks fantastic, and it's exactly what I want. I want a single-player driven Jedi Star Wars game, and it kind of evokes the Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast games from the PC like 15 years ago, and I think that's what they're going for here. Loved everything they showed about it. It comes out November 15th, and I really look forward to playing and reviewing this game for the channel. That's my number 4. Number 3 on my list is going to be Cyberpunk 2077. I think the craziest thing to me about this game is that it comes out, it has a date, April 5th, was it April 5th? April 16th, 2020. So yeah, it's still a ways off. This game continues to wow and impress everyone. I am impressed and surprised this game is going to run well on current gen hardware. At least that's what they're saying. Well, I'm taking a wait and see approach. It's a game I'll play on the Xbox One X, but I'm curious to see how it plays everywhere. I really look forward to that Digital Foundry video on that game. This game looks incredible. There's not more I can say. It has Keanu Reeves. That was Microsoft's big E3 moment. They brought Keanu Reeves out on stage. He apparently has a major role in this game that they really kept under wraps in the last year. And it's not a cameo. From my understanding, he's almost like a Cortana type character to your main character that you make in this game. It looks awesome. I can't say enough good things about that game. That game continues to be really impressive. So, April 16th, 2020. We'll see if it actually hits that date, but yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, that's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is the thing that I wanted to see the most at E3 this year. They showed exactly what I wanted. I wanted a tease of this in the proper way, and that is Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite's trailer didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. It showcased them harnessing the power of the next Xbox. I think it looks absolutely jaw-dropping in terms of the visuals, but again, keep in mind this was a cinematic trailer. This wasn't a gameplay trailer. But everything just looked incredible. I'm more curious to see what they do with the story of this game. The trailer was kind of interesting. The trailer is called Discover Hope, and it involves a specific UNSC pilot discovering Master Chief kind of just frozen in space, and then brings him in the ship, revives him, and he basically tells him, oh, hey, the war's over, we lost. And then Chief picks up an assault rifle and says, it's time to fight. That's pretty much the trailer. It was enough for me to get really excited. You do hear at the end of the trailer Cortana talking to him, so that kind of leads me to believe that they are divorcing themselves from the story of Halo 5. Massive spoiler. If you don't want to know the end of Halo 5, Cortana's a bad guy. It's weird. Halo 5 is a bad story. But the biggest thing about the end of Halo 5 is they showed another Halo ring. And this trailer, they show a Halo ring that's been destroyed, so obviously it can't be used. I don't know. This is the most questionable but also awesome announcement, I think, at E3, because I want to see them really do some drastic different changes with Halo, and I think they're going to. And it looks fascinating. It looks incredible, and I can't wait. And also, I mean, Steve Downes is voicing Master Chief again. That was another concern I had when the trailer started. I was like, oh man, if it's not his voice, it's going to be disappointing, and it is. So, and Cortana's voice obviously as well. So, that trailer, it did it for me. It closed their conference, and that's my number 2, and that is now my most anticipated game of 2020. They did announce it is a Scarlet launch title, but it also will be available on Xbox One and PC. So it's going to be interesting to see a cross-generational game. I kind of wish they would have just said PC and Scarlet, but I get why they're doing it this way. So it's going to be interesting to see how that game runs everywhere. Fall 2020. I cannot wait for next E3 when they blow out just all the details on this game. Really quick before I get to my number 1, we'll do my 3 honorable mentions here. The Outer Worlds, I think that game continues to look incredible. That game's a Game Pass game, so I don't even have to really pay for that game, I guess. I mean, I have Game Pass, but you understand what I'm saying. That game looks cool from from Obsidian, the developers of Fallout New Vegas. They seem to kind of be making the Fallout game we've been waiting for. I don't think it's going to be as long as a Fallout game, but it continues to look really impressive. It has a really interesting style going for it that I find really interesting. The announcement of Elden Ring, which is the long-rumored project between the Dark Souls creator and George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones. That looks cool. It just looks like Lord of the Rings, but apparently it's an open-world Dark Souls. As someone who thought Sekiro was interesting, but I couldn't get into that game, this looks really cool. CG trailer, I'm sure it'll be a 2020 game. Excited to learn more about that game. And then finally, Control, Remedy's new game, has almost a PsyOps vibe to it. That game continues to look incredibly impressive. That's out August 27th. I really look forward to playing and reviewing that game for the channel as well. So now let's get to my number 1. It's very obvious what it is because I haven't talked about it yet, and that is Doom Eternal. You guys know I'm a massive Doom fan, especially of Doom 2016, and everything they showed across this whole thing was awesome. I loved everything they're doing. My only complaint, and I'm in a very small minority that really like the multiplayer. They're doing something different from multiplayer. They're doing a 2-on-1, like 2 people play as the enemies versus 1 person is the Doomslayer. That's cool, and that will be okay, but that's the only multiplayer they're doing in this game. I know they're bringing Snap Map back, but they didn't talk about that. The campaign looks wild. It seems like it's going to pick up exactly where the events of Doom 2016 left off. They showed the Doomslayer loading himself into a cannon and shooting himself to another planet. I believe actually shooting himself to Earth. The whole thing looks absurd and awesome. I urge you guys to go see it. It is my most anticipated game now of 2019. I cannot wait. November 22nd, 2019 is when that game will finally release. And that was a great way for Bethesda to close out their press conference. So that is my list. My only dishonorable mentions are Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I will talk about in a separate video. Again, I continue to think that Final Fantasy VII Remake looks incredible in terms of its visual style, but my issues surrounding that game all stem on their messaging behind it. That's going to be a totally separate video because I didn't want to fit it into this one. And then the Avengers game is my other big disappointment. Like, I wanted basically a Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I know I'm getting Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 in a couple weeks, but I wanted a bigger budget version of that, and that's not what this is. So, anyways, guys, I'd love to know what your top 10 or even your favorite games of, E3 2019 were. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.